Hello, welcome to part 23 of Airbnb Clone Ruby on Rails series. And in last video, we created the backend API and database structure for our wish list. Now, this video is going to be a short one for some of you guys, and some of you can still view it fully. So let me first focus on the video part, code part here. So in this, I won't make the API call right away, but instead, if we go to our console, Rails C, let me shift my face this side, bring it down. Yeah. And if we use wishlist table dot all to see all the entries, remember that in last video I deleted two entries, added three, removed two, so now only one should be there. One with user ID 1 and property ID 5, right? So what we want is we want to show this. Let's go to property ID 5. Okay, so for that we can do property, which is a variable, equals to property dot find ID is 5, right? Enter. And we have got that in our property dot name. This is this one, sorry, property dot city, because we are using city names like new van or something. Where is new van? This one. So for this property, which is blue image, it should show red icon here, right? Because it is already added to wishlist. So we will implement that feature for now, which is going to be short. If you remember, I mentioned that we can use our wishlisted users because this will contain all the users who have wishlisted this particular property. And from that, we can search whether our current user is part of this list or not. And if it is part of this list, we'll return true, which will highlight this icon basically. Okay, but there is one mistake that I made. This should be multiple here, wish lists. Sorry, and same goes. Sorry, wish lists. Same goes for our user also. Okay, because through wishlist, through this wishlist, and in that we are going for source and dependent true. You already know now. So let's implement this definition. Wish listed by, will take the user from. Okay, so we can do it in two ways. We can use our current user, current, and based on that, we can see if that particular current user is part of this or not. But let's keep that separate. And here we will use user equals to nil. So we will pass this user wherever we are calling this function, and from that we will calculate things. So first we have to check if the user is nil or not. So for example, if someone is calling this function and they don't assign user value, it will by default be nil. Okay, so if no, return if user dot nil. If user is nil, it will return it directly and nothing will that work. Basically it will return, so it will mean false here, wishlisted users. So we can use this wishlisted user, which contains the list of all the users, dot include. Does this include this user? That's it. We just have to check this. Now we can use this. Let's try this out first in our console. Uh, okay, so for first time users who are working on Ruby on Rails for the first time, it might be a bit hard to get around the terminal, the terminal Rails console, and then the database related part, Postman, and then the front end part, and all those things. But I would suggest that you still make a habit of using Rails console, because if you get habit of it, it will make your development process really fast. Uh, let's exit this first because I have made the change. I will have to exit it. Rails C. Now we already know from our wish list, user ID was 1, property ID was 5, right? So let's try to use that directly. We have to use this function. It is part of a property. And which property? Fifth property we have to use it for. So we'll create a variable property Let's use property dot find 5. Now using this instance, we can actually use this wish listed by, and in that we will pass our user ID 1. So for user dot first, and you see it is returning true. At the same time, we'll try it for some other user also. It will return true because we have only one user actually. User dot count. Yes, we have only one user. So let me create another user dot create email test2@gmail.com, password 123456. I hope this works. This did work. Counts. Now you see it is returning false because for second user, this property has not been wishlisted. Okay. So now we can use this in our front end also. This is how we will do this. We'll go to our front end, which is our views, home, index. We are writing this as false, right? By default. Instead of that, we can use something like this. Again, think it, where is this property code uh, function written in property, right? So we need the property instance, property dot wishlisted by, and in that we can pass the user. So for us, it will be current user. Let's refresh. It did not work. Let's see why. Property is correct, wishlisted by current user. Maybe we can try out one thing, which is I'm doing something different. I'm using a raise. Okay. So this is something like a breakpoint. As soon as the code hits this, it will break our code. But it won't work because we have to use it on. Yeah, it should work. It should work. And till this point, whatever else is written or has been executed. So remember, these two lines have not been executed because we are breaking our code here. So whatever else has been executed, so user value has been assigned. We can access that in our front end sort of a way, not exactly front end. Let me refresh, and you will see our code broke here. So now we can use this user dot ID. ID is one. So user is definitely not null and it is getting assigned correctly. I can remove this race. Wishlisted users through wishlist through users include user. Maybe we can do raise here also. Okay, and let's assign it a value variable basically so that we can, let's refresh, but it won't work because it got broken on the first property itself and we want this to be broken on the fifth property. So let's not go in that right now. We can keep it separate. Let's try to inspect this for this particular property. Inspect. Data status is true actually. Okay, we might have made some mistake to our API. So if that value is true, let's go to our JavaScript controller, wish list. Let's remove these comments. User logged in. Okay, user is logged in, so this code is not needed. Current dataset status is false. No, it is true, but we haven't clicked on it, right? Oh, okay, got it. It was a mistake from my side. So if this data status is true, we want this to be fill primary, right? So we can use it here also. If this value is true, we will return fill none, fill primary. Otherwise, fill none. I hope this works like this. Let's refresh. Now you can see it is working correctly. Uh, just to be clear, I haven't implemented the API call, so clicking on this won't work. But we let's try to add it for some other property. Uh, which property should I implement this? Let's implement this for fifth property. Exit, clear, or the last property. Sorry, Rails C property dot last. I just want to find the name, sorry, city of that Lockman view, which is this property. Okay, let's remove this, which is this first property. In our view, it is first, otherwise it is last. So let's do this. We can do this from our API call, or we can do it from database also. I have showed you this in our API call. So let's do this directly here. Wishlist dot create user ID can be 1 and property ID can be 6. It has been created 1 and 6. Now I'm just refreshing this and you can see that it is visible. So that's it for this particular video in terms of code. Now I want to